Guys, it's Mike with K.I.S Dog Training. Welcome back, and today we are going to talk about how to make dog training easier for you, or at least maybe a way to trick you into thinking it's easier. So, the topic for today is going to be all about routines, okay? I think a lot of people get involved with a dog trainer or get a dog and start the training process and then are, you know, frustrated by the amount of time that they are spending training the dog daily. And I guess my thing is that's when you try to chisel out time each day to quote unquote train your dog. And I guess, what if we look at this a little differently? What if instead of carving out a special time to train, we instead just work on creating a routine daily that we can follow? Okay? And what I mean by that, and I usually start with hand feeding, and we'll get to that as a routine to follow. But let's face it, let's just create our training routine based off our own life, okay, and things that we do with our dogs every day. So I have created this handy dandy little list of 4 routines I think you can start around your house where you can start getting some behaviors. Okay, and once those behaviors start happening and we start rewarding them, they're going to start increasing in frequency. And the more they increase in frequency and the more we reward them, then they become habit or default behaviors, and everything is wonderful. So instead of getting too lost in the weeds, let's just jump right in there. The first one is the front door. Most dogs have been classically conditioned that the noise of the doorbell equals run to the front door, act like a fool, and jump on people. What we need to do at the starting of this training process with our dog is we change it up, and the noise of the doorbell or the knock on the door becomes the cue to go get in their crate. Now, some trainers will talk about a place command at this point, putting a blanket down, putting the dog in a spot, and telling them to stay and getting them to do it. Well, obviously, if you're already having problems with your dog running to the front door, or they're a puppy and they just don't have any skills yet, asking them to do a stay on a place pad with a skill that they've never learned before is going to be really hard on the dog, which is going to be very frustrating for you. And then you're going to quit practicing. And then we're right back to the reason I shot this video. So let's talk about crates. I am a huge crate trainer. I usually only use them for the first year and a half, 2 years of a dog's life. Once I can trust them, they have free reign of the house. But I use the crate to instill and create routines. So I want your crate to be somewhere in the living area of your house. And in most houses, it's going to be a space in between like the kitchen and the living room, okay? That's where usually all the action happens in the average household, okay? What we're going to do then is once we have the crate there, we have to then work with the dog going in and out of the crate for treats. We feed the dog in the crate. We do lots of things to associate positive things with being in the crate. And then when the doorbell rings, we go, hey, come here, Fido. Let's go get your crate. I toss a treat in the crate. Dog goes in. I shut the door on the crate. Then I answer the door. A couple of things have happened now. The dog doesn't have the ability or the opportunity to practice the bad behavior of running to the front door and jumping on your house guest. Number 2, the dog is learning to listen to the owner by, hey, kennel up, go to your room, whatever word we're using will get me a cookie if I go do it. And as soon as the dog calms down, I let him right out to say hello to the person. But it also gives me an opportunity, once the dog is in the crate and I answer the door and I bring the people in, I can then say, hey, this is Fido. He's young. He's new to the family. He's still a little bit jumpy. So do me a favor. Don't make a lot of eye contact. Don't talk to him. Just sit down. Let him normalize and get used to you being here. Here's a handful of treats for when I do let him out. Just when he comes up, ask for a sit, and let him kind of work on it. But the fact is, if you think about most of the dogs who jump a lot at the front door, they only do it but they only do it for maybe 10, 15 minutes tops. And then the person's normal. Okay, well, if I can manage the dog's behavior in that 10 or 15 minutes, I can then get them to calm down, let them out, and I have a better chance of doing it the right way. The only reason I don't like a place command, because at the end of 2 years or a year and a half, when I get rid of the crate, that's when I put the bed where the crate was and I use the same command. Hey, kennel up. They go to their spot. And that's more of a place command. But I think asking a dog who doesn't have any experience with that type of command, it's kind of like asking the dog to do calculus With that, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally first. So let's start simple. Let's get them used to the crate. We can use it in multiple different ways. I'm sure there'll be other videos where we'll talk about other ways to use a crate. But this is number one routine where doorbell equals go get in the crate, calm down, then I'll let you out and say hello. Okay. Number two is the hand feeding idea. We feed our dogs usually 2 times a day. And if we're lucky, we make them sit, we make them wait for 5 seconds, and then we tell them they can have the bowl of food. They eat, or even worse than that, they graze all day, and food doesn't become anything important to them. Well, I want food to be their paycheck, their reward. I want them to work for things. So the first thing I try to get clients to do is for the first 30 days of training is put the food bowl away. And I'm going to have you hand feed your dog. Every piece of food comes from a human hand. Now, that goes back to the old saying, don't bite the hand that feeds, pay attention to me or you're not going to get fed. That's about as mean as you're ever going to see me get with a dog, but it's an easy way for the dog to go, okay, let's do this, let's work. Now, hand feeding by itself gets pretty boring pretty quick, so I usually give my clients a list of 10 or 15 games to play while they're hand feeding, okay? And that's on our YouTube channel. There's a playlist called Hand Feeding, and those are all the games. You can go check it out. We'll link to it so you can see it. And that's where I teach them sit and down and watch me in the turnaround game. And if I let them on beds and couches, I teach them on and off. And there's a video about how to go in and out of crates. We teach them leave it. We teach them to wait at doors. All sorts of different things. So I'm really tricking my clients into training their dog the 2 times a day they would feed the dog. And if you do each game in about 2 minutes, you're talking a hand feeding session that's max 25 or 30 minutes. You might be training your dog over a 24-hour period, 30 minutes. Well, actually, I guess it would be closer to an hour if you fed them twice a day. But as we do that, the dog learns, hey, wait a minute, you ask me to do things and you reward me when I get them right. Okay, this is the way the world works. When I need to pay attention, you're going to give me a cue and you're going to tell me what to do, and then you're going to reward me when I make the right decision. And my God, the relationship between a dog and an owner is way easier that way than waiting for them to make a mistake and trying to punish them. Okay, so that's the second part. Number three, this is almost an idea like a service dog training, but and this is kind of advanced, but this is something you can start with right now. Is when I sit down, I want my dog to lay down. Okay, I call it park bench bingo because one of the last things I'll do in our private sessions is I'll take a dog to a city park. And every time we stop at a park bench, I will have them sit and then lay down and see how long they can just do nothing. Because by that time, we've usually seen the dog and the owner 5 times. And everything we have done in those previous 4 sessions has been doing something for a reward, doing something for a reward, and that's great. That's learning. But at some point, we have to teach the dog the skill of being able to just chill out and do nothing. And a lot of dogs just never learn that. But if I'm walking around a walking trail at a park and there's, a park bench every 200 or 300 yards, I can now practice stop, sit, lay down, go ahead, just look at the world. Give me a treat. I'll pull out my phone. I'll check my emails. Now, I wouldn't recommend doing this on your first session with your dog. There's a lot of training that goes before we get to this. But is there any reason why every single time you sat down in your house, you could ask your dog for a sit, and then once they were reliable at a sit, you could ask him for a down? It could become a routine that you would use in your daily life that really doesn't seem like training. But boy, let me tell you, the impulse control and frustration ability of a dog who just lays down and relaxes when you sit down and relax is awesome. Okay. The fourth one is that the command leave it equals attention on the owner and a reward for giving up a trigger. And what I mean by a trigger is a distraction. So let me back up and make this even simpler. I'm out on a walk and my dog sees a squirrel. My dog immediately, the head turns and starts staring at the squirrel. You can see him start vibrating. You can see him start getting excited. But before I let him go completely bonkers, I say leave it. The dog turns around, sits, offers me a front-facing sit. I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good dog. Okay, let's keep walking. And I have redirected the dog away from the trigger or the distraction, which is the squirrel. And a lot of you are listening to this or watching the video and going, you're full of crap. That'll never happen. I've got 3 dogs at home that will leave a squirrel every single time they see it. It could be goose poop. It could be another dog. It could be a person. But I think one of the most important things you can teach your dog is to be redirectable. Now, when we start this, I might very well start by just covering a treat and say leave it and throwing a treat away to where they go over and get the treat I threw. And once they're good at that, I might put my foot on top of the treat and say leave it. And when they give me eye contact, I give them a treat. And then I might actually move to putting the dog on leash and putting a pile of treats out in front of them and saying leave it. And when they turn around and look at me, I give them a treat. So, I mean, leave it has to be built up, you know, but it's another one of those commands. People will call me and say, my dog loses its mind every time it sees a person on a walk. My dog loses its mind and wants to attack every dog it sees. Um, my dog growls and barks at kids or at cats or at squirrels or whatever. But we also never taught them to pay that you are the thing to pay attention to and not that. And I will tell you, if you've got a dog who's already kind of doing that triggering behavior, if I can get them to look at me and be rewarded over a longer period of time, then that trigger becomes less scary, less overstimulating, less whatever we want to call it, and it becomes something I can work around. So, I guess what I want you to take away from this one is that with simple routines and feeding your dog and doing some simple things that you're already wanting to do, people coming to the door, you can start working on dog training. Don't think of it as this dog training thing I gotta do. Think of it as, what do I want my dog to do in the routine of life? Okay, so it's Mike with K.I.S. Dog Training. Hopefully, some of these examples will bring up some questions. If you've got questions, Facebook us, leave a comment here on YouTube or the podcast. Email us, info@K.I.S Dog Training. If there's any of these you want more detail on, just ask questions. We'll come up with another video. But hopefully this helps get you thinking in the right direction. And remember, keep it simple, stupid. We'll talk to you next time.